Welcome everybody. This focus on the fun we're having. We're doing this podcast style, so we're having a lot of fun, and we're going to be switching back. We're experimenting still, and
you guys are the guinea pigs.
Yes, you are. So I hope you're having fun with this thing.
Yes. Have as much fun as we are, please.
The powers that be gave me some slides to go through, and so I want to go through them now that we're on. So Samaya, hi, was Volunteer of the Month for March, and thank you, Samaya. And she's not here, so we could say all kinds of things about her, and we'll just say good things because she did a great job. She's Volunteer of the Month, and hopefully somebody, well, you could be Volunteer of the Month next month. Dates that are coming up. Change Leadership SIG is on April 22nd. 28th is the MLE. May 6th is the virtual workshop. May 11th is our next BizSIG, and it's on finance, accounting, and valuation. So for the monthly learning event, if you sign up more than 2 weeks early, members are free. Non-members are only $10. And what's great is if you bring somebody, a first-time guest, you get benefits as a member. You get some freeness for being late. Dale Carnegie has been supporting the chapter, and so they get some ad time. So there's a 10% discount for ATD-OC members who are new to the Dale Carnegie Select programs. Total Trainer has been a big program for ATD for a long, long time. It is a great program, very comprehensive. It's quite a commitment, and it's not only what you learn, it's the people you get to work with. And of course, we have the BizSIG dates. We are targeted all the way out for the year. So we've got April 13th, April 28th, May 11th, June 15th, and September 14th. We've been running a different course. We've been experimenting and trying different things, and we hope you'll enjoy them. BizSIG's all about experimentation, and it's about innovation, and we're having a lot of fun with this. It's for people guiding talent development, whether you're internal or external. So your hosts tonight's Jeffrey Hansler and Rona Lewis.
Hello.
And as you can tell, we're in the Huntington Beach studio right now, having a lot of fun.
Wait, such as it is, yes.
Yeah. We have no hot water because my pipes broke.
So we're glamping.
Yes,
basically,
we're glamping.
We are glamping.
Exactly. I take a shower outside at the neighbors.
I just spit and go under my arms. It's great. That's all I need.
So
because I glow, I don't sweat. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
From Nassau to New York, and from New York to Huntington Beach, we are here to help you. Same agenda as always. We're having nice networking. We're going to have some prep for the program. We're going to have case study light. What would you do? And so nice, necessary, rapid networking. I'm going to turn this over to the lady in charge, and Rona's going to take it from here.
I wish he would actually remember that, lady in charge, besides just saying it now. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to go around saying our name, what we do for a living, and just so we can kind of like go in and get all groovy and zen, tell us how you're feeling by comparing yourself to an animal, and where are you, and what is the weather like. So, for instance, I am feeling really zen and happy. So if I was an animal, I would be a hippo on a bright, shiny day in the mud, just wallowing, keeping cool, and being very satisfied. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I should probably say the rest of it. My name is Rona Lewis. I am a corporate consultant for creativity and play to help with corporate culture and employee engagement. Who's going next? Jeffrey, you want to go?
Sure. Jeffrey Hansler, past president, ATD-OC. What do I do? I haven't been doing a lot. I've been working on plumbing today. So I do organizational development and projects, and I have to reach out. And surprising, I won't go into the details, but I did get a call from Washington, D.C. last week. And so that could be a very interesting project. Animal, place, and weather. Animal.
Don't say cat. Don't say cat.
No, I'm not going to say cat. I'm water buffalo right now, pretty much. Just kind of sitting in the middle of the road, and making people go around me. Place, I'm Australia. I just watched Crocodile Dundee for all my fun yesterday. And the weather is balmy. It's hot, it's sweaty, and I need a shower. Who's next? Kim, jump in.
Let's see. I am Kim Chaffo. I am a consultant and also a teacher for STEAM workshops for children ages 4 to 14. I live in Irvine, and it's, as you know, 64 degrees, which is freezing for us, right? I had to actually find a jacket, which was hard to do. Let's see. Animal. I don't know. A penguin? A penguin comes to mind.
Great.
Playful, sliding, fishing, always fishing. I'm trying to earn my little dollar, I guess, or earn my fish, if you will.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll go
Elizabeth.
next. Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Prager. I am occasionally I do organizational development consulting. My forte is in change management and user adoption. Can be change communications and training plans. And if I were an animal, I believe I'd be a cat. My favorite animal in the world is cat, actually. Even from any kind of cat, wild cats, domestic cats, whatever. I love cats. And I'm based in West Los Angeles, and it's about mid-60s here as well. It's gloomy. It was gloomy in the morning, but the sun did come out a little. But yes, it's cold for sure. I have my heater on, believe it or not. It's damp here. And I'm looking forward to this evening.
I'll go.
All right,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
okay. Tom Partridge, I'm an instructional designer. I focus a lot on developing holistic learning programs. I'm very tired, so I'm going to say polar bear because I feel like I really want to hibernate. And I want to ask Elizabeth if she includes meerkats.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You said all cats, so I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Are those
I love
really
cats.
cats? I don't even know if those are really cats.
Is a meerkat really a cat?
Yeah. A question for another time. Ponder and play with that. Okay.
I'm Wendy Danbury, and I'm currently the Organizational Development Manager at Canberra Manufacturing in Huntington Beach, soon to be just Wendy Danbury, a consultant. And I've already picked up a couple of gigs without even trying because I have an awesome network, I guess.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I can do this on the weekend for you, but just know that it's not going to be fast because I'm still working 50 plus hours at my real job. And when you said animal, the first thing I thought of was like a hibernating bear, because I've been all cozy with in a
That's what you
cave
go
with a regular
Excellent.
paycheck, plenty of food, and it's spring and it's starting to burst forth a little bit, and I need to emerge from the cave and actually start foraging. So that's,
There
I
you
guess
go.
it's
Well
kind
done.
of still cool, but getting to warm up for springtime.
Excellent. That was my Jeffrey imitation. Excellent.
You did it very well. You got it down.
We've been hanging out too much. Sorry. It just happens.
Lapsich, I'm an
There.
intermittent OD consultant, and I guess today I'm a giraffe trying to reach the top branches of the trees in the African savanna, looking out for other wild animals bouncing around.
Fabulous. Great choice. Who we missing?
Eduardo.
Okay, now, hi everybody, good evening. My name is Eduardo Figueroa. I do leadership and supervisory training in Spanish, so most of my clients are manufacturing. And an animal, the first thought that comes like a cheetah, the fast kind of cat, maybe it's a little cat that, and place I've been just in, weather is like 61, it's a little chilly, yeah, also. So
Awesome.
Excellent.
Did we get everyone?
I think that is everybody. Anybody sign on that we haven't covered? We're going to prep for program. And Prep for Program is a game, and Rona's been running the games for a while. And one of the reasons we've incorporated this into the BizSIG programs is play is so important, especially now because of all the stress and all the change going on for everybody. And play just brings you, it's a healthy solution. And as a matter of fact, Rona's got a couple of interviews with some pretty heavy duty people about mental health coming up later in the month. And it seems
He always
corporate
perks me up. You are so good.
it seems corporate America is coming around that the people are very, very important and more important than systems. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. So for our Prep for Program, I'm going to turn this over to Rona, and she's got a game for you.
This is a yes and game. I don't know if any of you are familiar with improv. One of the primary rules of improv is to push your partner forward, to have your partner's back, whoever you're speaking with, or partners. And that's a big yes and, because if you say but, it just cuts off anything that you have said before. Yes and allows you to push the conversation forward. And tonight's subject matter is buy-in. So when you're buying into something, you want someone to buy in, to either use your services or to agree with you to push a project forward, you want to get them nodding. You want to get them to say yes and whatever it is. So what we're going to do now is put you into breakout sessions. And I want you to do one of two things. If you're working on a project, talk a little bit about what your project is, if there are any issues with it, and then the other people around you will say yes, and you should try this. Yes, and even if you don't agree with it. If you're not working on a project, if you don't have anything going on, concentrate on your own career. This is what I've been doing. This is what has or hasn't been working, and everyone else has to start their sentence with yes and. Bottom line is, everything you say has to start with yes and. You guys with me? Make sense? Any questions?
All right, breakout rooms are now open. How much time, Rona?
5-6 minutes?
Okay, got 5 minutes on the clock. Get into your breakout rooms, have fun. Sylvia, welcome to the party. We're going to throw you into room 1. Welcome back, everybody. And I hope you had fun. And Rona's going to do the debrief.
So how did you guys feel doing that? Was it difficult? Did you want to say something else? Was it a little stilted? Talk to me. Tell me what happened. Don't everybody scream at once. Come on, somebody help me out here.
We're better at saying yes and to start everything, and others just jumped into a question. So nobody was saying but or no. So that was good.
That's good. Yeah, so did you feel like it was a more positive conversation?
I think so.
Whoops.
And in our group, it was positive, yet I could hear in my head, and I could hear our team members saying, and stopping the but, going to and. But
yeah,
again, here the but came out. So,
and you know what? And that will absolutely happen, because just because you're changing the word, all the and does, it allows the other person to know that that they were heard and you understood them, and you're making your point. If you said yes but, it's a much harder point to start your conversation. So yes, it is yes, and it is difficult to continue the conversation, and you're allowing that to help you move forward even if you don't agree with them. That's the whole point of this. So you're not cutting them off.
Wasn't always use yes as you transition. So I hear what you're saying, or something that's, after a while, yes sounded like a token yes, and you really didn't hear them. You're just moving on.
I missed the last part. Can you say the last part again, please?
So it sounds like if you always use yes, it sounds like after a while, it's just kind of a throw-in. You're not really sincere. So you might want to vary it. Like, yeah, I understand what you're saying, and there's something, other transitions.
Absolutely, absolutely. The reason that this is an exercise is to just get you used to the concept of not using the word no, not using the word but, any of the things that cut off a conversation. Because anytime you say something and then use the word but, it just crosses off everything that came before that but. So by using and, or Tom, any of the words that you said are substitutes. That's just semantics. But the and, sorry, see? And the process is allowing that other person's opinion or comment, whatever, to be heard and adding to it. You always want to add to it to push the conversation forward, especially when you're working with a buy-in. You don't want to cut it off because that's just going to stop the conversation cold. So to your point, yes, fine, use whatever words you want. There was just a method to the madness to get used to this sort of continuing of the conversation. Anyone else have any comments or issues or anything like that? Okie doke, Jeffrey?
Yeah, the real trick for me is using yes and when it's something you really care about. Because you care about it, you have an opinion on it. And it's hard to get outside yourself and agree with somebody that's coming from a completely different perspective. And that's where the challenge comes. So this exercise is for practicing so that you don't let your amygdala hijack you and just somebody says something you don't like and go, no.
Right.
Because that'll kill you.
Yeah.
All right. So if you will go into the chat, I put into the chat, very first chat, Tom's got some stuff in here. It was a message sent to everybody. It was the very first thing posted. There's a link, and what I'd like you to do is go into the chat and go to that link. Does everybody have it? So I can't tell you enough about experimentation. Excuse me. Can't tell you enough about experimentation. So I've been playing around with case studies, trying to find something that works in the short amount of time we have available. And I've been playing around with different formats. So this is a different format than you've seen before in the BizSIG. And I put this one together, and we'll see how it goes. You guys will be the judges of it, whether it works or not. And you also can tell we're playing around with technology and playing around with the podcast stuff. There are over 800,000 podcasts currently. They've been going, they started to get a groundswell about 2005. Joe Rogan just sold who did he sell this podcast to for $100 million?
I don't know.
He's got an unbelievable amount of
It's a lot.
followers. It's another communication. And it's about audio, very important. And it's also about video, and people are taking it in different ways. Most people that start podcasts quit within the first year.
Actually, I'm going to add and if they can get 20 in, that's amazing. Most people quit within the first 10. We found that out at Podfest when we went to that.
Yeah. So, hey, we might just be good for 20. Yeah, we might be
I'm good
for
after
20.
this. We're done. I'm kidding.
So in your own business, you should be experimenting. One of the fun things about doing a repetitive work is the chance to experiment. All right.
And you have to play with it, and you have to have fun with it. And making mistakes, I'm just going to throw this in. When you are expanding and getting out of your comfort zone, keep in mind that you are playing with it. Mistakes are part of it. Failure, again, in improv, featuring failure, that's the gold. So when you fail, when you try something and fail, it's awesome because it gets you even further to your goal. So when you start wide, you start to go narrow, and that's where the magic is. So just keep going. I'm done. Sorry.
No, that was great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
Say that again. Failure is, I need to hear that again as I'm creating.
Okay, hang on. Sylvia
Say-
wants to hear it again.
Oh, about the
The
in
failure, how
improv.
you frame it in your mind. Failure
Yeah,
is,
failure is great because failure, you have to look at it as an experimentation. I'm going to try this. I've never done this before. You know, when we go in and talk about play and employee engagement, companies have to really be heroes. HRs and HR execs and CEOs, they have to be willing to take that risk and try something new. What's the worst thing that will happen? It won't work. It always works. And if you try something and it doesn't work, awesome, because now you know not to do it again. It narrows the field, so you're that much closer to success. So you always want to celebrate your failures. I mean, look at Thomas Edison. How many tries did he have before he came up with the light bulb? I don't know, but like a kabillion. So that kabillion and one did it. So he was an overnight success, and it only took him 30 years? I don't know. I'm making these numbers up, but you get my point.
thank you. I need to hear that. It's good.
My new hero is Ed Catmull,
Oh,
who
here we
ran Pixar. He's the president of Pixar, and he said, "Do you guys like Pixar movies, by the way?" Yeah, they're great.
Who doesn't? Come
they're
on.
great.
There's
So
cartoons.
Ed Catmull, he said, "Yeah, when we first design a movie, it sucks." He says all our movies suck. They're awful. They're terrible, and they'll spend 5 years working on getting them right. A lot of, and his whole idea was creating processes to keep people creative, to keep people trying new things, to make it better and better and better. And we're talking millions of dollars that they invest in these things yearly to get them right. And so, and he said, my whole job as a leader is to keep the team open to change, and that requires dialogue and risk and failure. And they talk about all the failures they had in it. It's just great.
It's a fabulous book, and whoever recommended it to you is an extraordinary person.
Yes,
I'm just
Rona,
saying.
thank you very much.
I did. I recommended it.
Yes. So we've had our network, and we've had our prep for the program. You have a case study in front of you. And so the question is, what would you do? And first of all, this is coming from Cotter's work, Buy-In, which is what this is all about. And what we're going to do is, rather than just give you information, you're going to take the information, whatever you can glean from this, whatever you brought here, and you're going to evaluate the case study, and you're going to come up with what would you do in that situation. And it's a training situation. Could be common, could not be common. So what Cotter says is let attackers into the discussion and let them go after you. Keep your responses clear, simple, crisp, and full of common sense. Show respect constantly. No fighting, collapsing, or defensiveness. It's really, really hard when you're under attack, when your ideas are being criticized, when somebody's telling you it's not going to work. And the idea is so new. It's like criticizing your newborn baby almost. So you have a tendency to get sensitive. Focus on the whole group. Don't be distracted by the detractors, and prepare for the inevitable attacks. They will come.
Okay, this is an uncomfortable silence. What are you doing?
Oh, I was just reading the chat. I'm sorry. Thanks for checking in. Here, why don't you? Fine, you take this one. No. You read this one. Go ahead. 4 ways to kill an idea. Rona's good at killing ideas.
I am. I'm the one that comes up with the ideas. Don't let him fool you.
You hate it when
Fear-mongering.
mom and dad argue.
Yes. Touche.
Not again.
Touche.
please.
Your father's very mean. All right. So, fear mongering.
You're making the kids hate dad.
We have fear mongering. Again, we have delay, we have confusion, and then ridicule and character assassination. All of these things are based in fear because we are afraid to go out of our comfort zone with this. And that's why it happens when we kill an idea, because A, we don't have control over it. We're scared of something new, and it's confusion. People have to get used to it. They have to develop it in their own mind. And then have you ever met people that are so unwilling, they live life with blinders on, that they will ridicule and make fun of anything that is not within their scope of comfort. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Well said.
Thank
well
you.
said. So in the OD work we've done, so I started OD work in 2009, and we got on a bunch of major projects and a lot of fun. And I have never, ever seen an idea killed any other way than this. And I have seen all of these. They start talking about all the things that are going to go wrong. The one they pull out first is often delay. And they'll say things like, oh, great idea. That's a great idea. Yeah, we should just put it off for a month or two. Not right now is not the exact time. And if they get any kind of delay, it can really kill the idea. Confusion, they start throwing in stuff that really has nothing to do with it. If A and B equal, then the black holes in the universe will disappear. And it is as ridiculous as that. You'll hear that. And then if none of those work, they do go after ridicule and character assassination. They go after people. And they go after the leadership. They go after the people trying to bring the message of change. And one of the things we announce when we get on projects, because we go for crazy projects, is there is a good chance people on this project are going to be fired or attacked. So you need to be ready for it, and you need to mind your P's and Q's, and we need to be ready for it and watch out for it. And from our projects, I've gotten a lot of very, very good friends, and unfortunately, a couple of them, one was forced into early retirement, and another one was they did a bunch of trumped up lies on him, accused him of all kinds of things, accusing financial fraud. And because they were threatening his pension, he just said, I'm not going to fight this. And he said, man, I thought these guys were my friends. I had no idea. So this is serious stuff. Change is very frightening to people. The brain does not like change. Your brain is not your friend, and it hates change. And it will do anything to stop change in most cases. And that's a surprise for people, because you ask most people and they say, oh yeah, I love change. What it really is I love change. You go first. So gaining buy-in into your agreements. You want to gain their attention by allowing the attackers in and letting them attack. Win the minds of the relevant, attentive audience with a simple, clear, and common sense response. Win their hearts by, most of all, showing respect and constantly monitoring the people whose hearts and minds you need. And I've got a thing in the way. The broad audience, not the few attackers. So focus on the ones that are supporting you, and then prepare for everything in advance. Prep is everything. A non-related example is just prepping for the podcast. We did a rehearsal on this. It was a complete disaster about 4 weeks ago. It took me about 4 hours to set up the equipment. I thought I didn't have the right stuff. We found out flaws. We couldn't get things to go. So it was quite the learning experience.
I was perfect. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. I'm so kidding.
So, Miss Perfect, why don't you take over working with these specific types of attitudes?
No, Jeffrey, this is
No, this is you. I grab it.
Okay. So, let know-it-alls explain step by step their perspective. Just let people talk. They're going to talk over you anyway. Just let them get it all out. It will make them feel better. Engage people stuck, inflexible on killing the idea by having them shape the story. So you can ask questions and make them feel like they have more power and control than they actually do. Praise narcissists on their strengths and accolades regarding creativity, insights, and future-seeking interests. My mother was a narcissist. I did this a lot. Gee, Mom, nod your head, agree with them, okay, and then kind of, do what you think is best. And then encourage naysayers, compelled to disagree, to share their disagreements. Basically, you want people to get it all out and make themselves feel better. And then that's your chance to start to change their minds for the buy-in. You want to add stuff, Jeffrey?
Well, and, since I'm such a patient person, as you know, all this stuff comes so easy to me. No, I have difficulty with all of this. It's almost impossible for me to stay quiet and let this stuff go on because it just feels completely counterintuitive to what you should be doing.
Everybody understands it? There's no questions, anything like that?
Yeah, but when you're encouraging naysayers, my personality can only do that for so long. And then it's like, BS is BS. And it's like the lizard brain kicks in and just says, objective truth is what it is just because you want to be a naysayer. How do you, in other words, when a naysayer triples down on their naysayingness, where do you go?
Can I address that?
Rona's on.
What I ask, and like Jeffrey often says, Rona's a New Yorker, so I'm a different animal than the people here on this other coast. Just be really straightforward. What are you afraid of? What's the worst that can happen if things change? What are you seeing in your head that you are afraid to agree with this? And then see what they say. Does that make sense? Just call them on their crap.
Just seems risky.
Yes, it is. But what's the other side of that risk? The other side is having that person stay with that opinion, and you haven't done anything or done enough to be able to change it. So
when you have a manager title and they have a VP title.
Say that again, Tom.
When you have a manager title and they have a VP title.
So what?
No. There are consequences, man. Because then they pull the power thing.
Okay.
They drop into character, fear mongering.
Yeah.
Yes, I do understand that. And, from
Been
my...
there, done that, got the t-shirt, got the hat.
Yeah. And it is hard. It is, and I think it depends on how you frame it as well. So, I think this is a whole other class. I don't know how deep you want to go in on this.
We're going into 8:30. That's as deep as we're getting on this one.
So, as someone who has been a manager and a VP, personally, true leadership is encouraging other people to have their own ideas, and a good VP will listen. Just because they have the title doesn't mean they're a great leader. And yes, sometimes you will find someone you're kind of stuck with them because that's who you're dealing with, and then maybe ask them, how else would you do this? Would you be willing to try it your way? If it doesn't work for let's try it for 3 months. If we don't see a difference, can we try it this way? Let's see what happens. Because what happens if nothing changes? You lose money, and then or whatever it is, and then let's try something new. My personality is always to challenge. What would happen if? And if they're open enough, then perhaps they would be willing to at least compromise. All right, let's do it my way for 3 months. If there is no positive effect, then we can try it your way. So it's a compromise, and that's a form of buy-in.
And Tom, it's you got to try it, and you can also do what feels good to you too. I was on a project with a COO, and I had a feeling that he was very political, and he wanted high positive awareness with the board of directors, and he wanted the CEO job. And I came back with a solution that was absolutely perfect. He admitted it's absolutely perfect. And he said, yeah, I'm not going to do it because it'll raise questions with the board. Even though it's the right decision, I'm not going to do it. And I was just like, okay.
Oh,
Well,
I had a similar situation in which a VP, I asked him, what would make this work for you? He said A, B, and C. I gave him A, B, and C. It didn't work.
Right.
And it's like, Tom who? Never heard of Tom. Tom and I? No, we never talked. Of course we never talked.
Look, I've spent the last couple of months really dialing down to, because of all the frustrations from all the years, dialing down. People are insane. People are absolutely, we are not normal. What's the book you brought over, Rona?
Which one?
The little book?
Oh, I have a blank book of dysfunctions.
The little book of 2020.
It's like every page has another quote or another situation of some sort of dysfunction, because everybody has a dysfunction.
Tom, and there are not a lot of healthy people in business, corporate America.
Correct.
It's rare, and
because it's all about egos.
Yeah, well, and in the book about Ed Catmull's book, because I work with Jobs for a little while. Jobs, everybody talks about how great and wonderful he is, and he had a great qualities. He was a terrible leader, and he was a horrible person to deal with. And Ed Catmull starts off, and the first page he's talking about how great Jobs is, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is just going to be just a whitewash of the whole relationship. And then in the fourth page, he is just tearing him down, telling all the stuff I'm going, okay, well, very good. So it's kind of a balance. And he talked about things that he disagreed with Jobs, that Jobs was right on. And he talked about things that Jobs created that almost destroyed Pixar. So you just got to understand, this is why the yes and exercise was so valuable, because that keeps the conversation going.
Right.
And it allows people to grow. And some people are ready to grow and some people aren't. Tom, the very fact that you're running into this means you're doing the right job. You're doing a good job. And right now your circle of influence is this big. And you are responsible for growing your skills so that you can include more crazy, insane people into your circle. And you can help manage them. And if I look back on my history...
I don't know if that last sentence was that encouraging.
Look, I mean it in the most positive way possible. I had people help me early in my career because I am guilty of all of this stuff. And I had people who managed me, and they managed because they were smart and they were invested. So
I manage him now.
yes, exactly.
I have to. We do business together. I have to manage him. Sorry, go ahead.
And that's what you want. And so these people that are hiring you are actually asking you to manage them, and they hit a roadblock, and you may not be able to do anything. I mean, I had a discussion with a client the other day, and I was livid. I was ready to get out. It's a good thing that I don't have an Uzi. I was ready to get out. And, I had talked to Rona, I had talked to Jim, and, and then I had to go to sleep before I woke up sane. If I been in a face-to-face meeting, I would have gone ballistic, even though I know I shouldn't be doing any of those things. So it's about managing, it's around surrounding your people that are going to help you help other people.
Business is, as much as people don't like to admit it, business is emotional. And you are always dealing with people's emotions and people's egos.
Tom, thanks for sharing. Great discussion.
That was great.
Great discussion. I'm sorry, Rona. I should have had the camera on you then.
I don't care.
That's okay. I missed it. I've got one job to do, and I missed it out. All right.
Fired. No,
Yeah.
no.
All right. So what you've downloaded is a case study. And in that case study, you've been provided the players. It's 2 pages. You've been provided some relevant facts. You've been given some ethical considerations. You've been given a list of the obvious stakeholders. There may be other stakeholders. You've been given the apparent choices that are available based on the information you've been given. And the question is, are there more choices? Are there different choices? And you've been given a few ethical considerations about the apparent choices. And then you've also been given some apparent constraints. And we're using the word apparent because this is all about perspective. So this is all in that buy-in case study you've got. So your challenge is to determine the best action or exchange and your reasoning behind your decision for helping this interaction come out in a positive manner.
Just so you know, we are drinking sparkling water, so that's what's making that, making his...
Kirkland is a sponsor of our program. All right.
I have 2 questions.
Only 2?
Only 2. Well, I may have more, but you mentioned
What? I may have more and?
And?
Oh, I may have more. And my first question is, would you please go to that slide before the slide with the women's faces on it? Because I have a feeling I'm going to want that gain in buy-in thing. Yeah. Win the hearts. I just wanted to make sure that I had that.
Yeah, you can take a picture of it.
Yeah, I'm going to do
Nice
that.
photo. Photo op.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And my other question is, in the relevant facts, number 4 is a little confusing, but I think it's because there's a typo. Linda's nervous that Matt is not conducting the session. That makes sense. And a snowstorm delayed Linda and Matt's arrival, or Daniel's arrival.
Which one are you looking at?
On the
Number
on here.
4.
Number
the
4.
case study.
Number
Sorry.
4, it looks like I thought Matt couldn't be there, or is Matt there but he's not delivering it?
Right. He's not there and he's not delivering it. Matt
Okay,
was
so it
the
should be
independent
snowstorm
contractor
delayed Linda and
hired.
Daniel's arrival
What?
until 10 minutes prior to class, and then annoyed Gil ushered Daniel and Linda immediately.
Say that again, Wendy. I didn't hear you.
So the last sentence on number 4, Gil ushered Matt. It should be Daniel and Linda, right, to this training.
Oh.
Oh,
Yes, you are.
good catch.
Good catch.
I couldn't. I'm like, okay, let me write down these players, and I couldn't get it. So okay. That
Wendy,
makes
nice job.
Wow, you're hired. You're our new proofreader.
I've gotten 2 editing gigs without even asking.
That's right.
I'm
And-
working on 2 editing
you
gigs
know what?
while I'm still employed. So.
Wendy, full disclosure, Jeffrey sent this to me to read over, and I read it, and I didn't catch it. So I'm fired. Gotta
Well,
go.
so is
Bye.
Microsoft. They
That's
didn't catch. I did spell check and it did not catch that Matt should have been Daniel.
Oh, well, because they're so similar. All right.
Nice
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you,
Well
Wendy.
done.
Thank you.
So, any other questions on the case study with the errors in it?
Yeah, can I just clarify that Daniel was hired to teach this last class because Matt wasn't going to teach it? Is that a fact?
Matt wasn't. What was it, Kim?
Daniel was specifically hired to teach this last class.
Correct.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Matt, it's known that Matt is not going to teach the last class.
Correct. And nobody's happy about it.
But they hired Daniel.
They hired Dana because Matt was unavailable. He's on another project.
Okay. And so
So tensions are high already because the client is not happy that Matt, who the client really adores and respects and has trust in, Matt has said, hi, yeah, I have other more important things to do.
okay. And what is this thing about the form? I don't understand the concept of this form.
So the whole class, the entire class was designed to educate the people that would be filling out the form on how to fill out the form properly and what the expectations were and why this form was so much better than the old form? Great questions. Anything else?
All-day training class or 1 hour?
It was an all-day training class, 6 hours. 3 hours in the morning, take an hour lunch break, and 3 hours in the afternoon.
Sounds exciting.
Oh, absolutely riveting.
Depends who's teaching it.
And
Just saying.
I have a question also because it's saying the number 5, the question in Daniel that he introduced the form in the beginning is not idea that they have to fill out the form to learn how to do it. So why they don't want to show the form?
Eduardo, you would be
Put it back on
Daniel's best friend. You would, because you are of the like mind that Daniel believes the form should have been introduced in the front. So Gil had Matt do the classes in the beginning, and when they designed the class, they had the form introduced at the end. And it was through Matt and Daniel's conversation that they decided that the form would be better in the front of the class, which most smart instructors would probably agree. The form should be introduced, because why would you introduce the form in the last minute? And then Matt was supposed to call Gil and tell her that the form was going to be presented in the beginning, and he had promised to do that. And obviously, that conversation did not happen.
Oops.
But Gil is the person who hired Daniel, and Daniel is refusing to do what Gil had asked him to do.
No, actually, it was Matt, and it was Matt that hired Daniel. Matt said, "I will find you a replacement." I will find you a replacement. So Matt had not had any conversations, did not even know who Gil was.
Okay, so I think in number 2 in the future, maybe if you could include that Matt was the one who hired Daniel to be the subcontractor to deliver this training, right? Another very experienced, it's contract. So it was unclear. It's unclear who hired Daniel.
That's a good point, and notes are being taken.
Notes are being taken, and it's got to fit on 2 pages because 3 is intimidating. So we'll work on that. Something has to be. We're always limited on space and time.
Smaller fonts.
Yeah, and I think number 3, you said Matt. Okay, so in discussions with Daniel, Matt decides the form should be revealed at the beginning of the session going forward. Gil wanted the form hidden until the end of the session, but then in 5, at the first break, Gil confronts Daniel on why he introduced the form in the beginning.
Because Matt never called Gil to tell about the change.
There was no communication.
So now that we have a better understanding of all of the hidden facts, or all of the underlining situations.
Issues? Yes.
Right?
Is it?
The
Does
boss
everyone
is Gil,
understand
right?
a little bit better what the situation is?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So
Excellent.
breakout rooms? Or do you want to do something?
Any other questions?
I'm confused. Who is Linda?
So Linda is a salesperson.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she was a salesperson that introduced Matt to Gil. So it's a independent training company. And they introduced Matt to Gil. The relationship went off great. Linda is just as upset as Gil is that Matt's not doing the class. She's already had that discussion with Matt. All right. And Matt said, "Look, I got better things to do on this class. I can't do it." I could tell you that, he had to go to a funeral, but that gives him a more reasonable excuse. And the excuse was not reasonable.
Yeah,
So Daniel gets dragged in, and all Linda cares about is what? She's in sales. She cares about the account. Daniel
works for Linda also?
So no, they all, Linda, Matt, and now Daniel, have all been contracted by a very well-known large training company.
Okay, so there are three different companies. So
No, one company hired all three independent Oh, well, Linda's not an independent contractor. She's a sales rep for the organization.
And this is the last training class?
This is not the last training. This is one in the middle.
That actually shouldn't matter. You know, bottom line is both Matt and Daniel are independent contractors working for the same company who was hired by Gil. Okay, and Linda recommended them. Matt's been working for them for a while. He couldn't do it, so he said, "I'll get you a replacement." Daniel comes in, and Daniel wants to do things differently, right? And that's where the buy-in needs to come in, because Daniel wants to introduce the form at the beginning, whereas Matt always introduced it at the end. Is that right?
Well, and Matt accepted Daniel's argument, and he agreed. So Matt bought into Daniel's argument. Oh, their job is to look at this, take this mess, use what they've learned with buy-in, yes and, agreement, dealing with naysayers, understand the constraints that are going on, and come up with how you would respond to make this situation come out in a positive manner or a more positive manner. Everybody understand? All right.
Yeah.
So it is currently 8:02. I'm going to give you
10?
15 on this.
15.
And then the rest of the time will be a debrief and then final sign off. So you'll have about 10 minutes for a debrief. So your ideas. All right.
okay.
All right.
Off you go.
Rooms are open. Have fun. If you have questions, I think there's a help button somewhere. It's all you.
All right, kids. What did we think? How'd you do?
Oh boy.
We beat it to death, I hope. Although we were still kind of going through how are we going to answer these 6 questions now that we've got some ideas.
So what do you want us to answer, Jeffrey and Rona? What is the real question to us?
Well, the real question was what would you do, and what was the reason behind your decision based on what we covered with buy-in? How are you going to try and make this a better situation? There is no right answer. There is no right answer. It's about application. It's experiential. You know, what would you do?
So we are who? Were the consultant brought in to mediate, or
Yeah. What if you were in this? What if you were no? What if you were Daniel?
Okay. What if we were Daniel?
What if you were Daniel? How would you handle this situation? Because you are going to be Daniel if you're doing instruction or instructional design or OD work or
Training, yeah.
any kind of interactive work. You are going to be in a situation where you're Daniel.
Yes.
I've changed positions because I got double cramps in both my back legs sitting on the chair.
Oh, no.
So now I'm standing.
Because he's 9 feet tall.
So now I'm standing. Anyway. So who wants to take a swing at it? It's about so case studies are always about the discussion. They're always about the discussion, the interaction, and what would you do and how would you apply into it. This is why it's collaborative learning.
Some of the ideas were like as a Daniel, we should apologize with Gil because the confusion, we thought that Matt mentioned it, that we were going to change and we're going to introduce the form at the beginning and also maybe say, yeah, we understand that you're upset, but let's just finish with this class with the form in front and then we'll talk about that. That's some ideas. And there are other ideas similar to that.
Yeah, and that's a choice. Eduardo would say, fall on the sword, apologize. But what are the consequences of that? If you apologize, what are some of the consequences? What are the impact on Matt? What's the impact on the company? What's the impact in the relationship for future? So great option, Eduardo.
We all agreed to show respect to Gil. and inform Gil of of why Daniel did what he did. So if I were Daniel, we all said, you know, we Matt and I discussed the format. We decided that based on feedback from our audiences, our participants during the first delivery, Matt's decision was for us to move the form to the very beginning. And then Pete mentioned, ask Gil, you know, what is the reason for you wanting to move the form at the very end? I'm sorry, I wasn't privy to that discussion. I'm not sure what the reasoning is, and I'd love to hear from you, Gil. You know, so again, showing respect, asking, right?
So Kim, to just have fun with this, so you're throwing Matt under the bus.
So that's the problem.
You know,
because,
Gil, I'm so sorry. Matt was an idiot and didn't call you.
right, that's true.
It's the perfect answer because he's not
or-
there to defend himself. So good on you.
Here's what I would do. I would actually reach out to Matt and say, Matt, you obviously didn't have the communication with Gil. Can you reach out to him and tell him the conversation we had about reorganizing the structure of the class?
But at
Okay,
that-
playing
and
devil's
at that
advocate, is
moment,
that
though,
too
when
little
you're
too
in the
late?
room- Yeah, definitely. I would definitely follow up with asking Matt to do that. But at that moment, I would say our decision was to move it to the very beginning because of the feedback that we had or that Matt had received.
Okay.
But so Jeffrey, it's your suggestion for me to not say that, or
No. I'm so what I'm doing is we're diving into this thing. So one of the things that you want, I'll put a quote on LinkedIn. The quote actually has a lot of basis in everything that's going on. You don't want to belong to a company where all the robust discussions are happening in the hallways. So one of the most important things for leadership and consultants and trainers to do is have real conversations about real things. And so that's what we're having, a real conversation. It's not about a right or wrong. Everything you do has a consequence. And you're going to have to make choices. You're going to have to make hard choices. There are no easy answers in this. In a way, you know, it's kind of like, you know, to put an extreme example, it's like the military. You come up onto a village and you want to stay alive, and you're supposed to go through the village, and people are popping out. They might have guns, they might not have guns. So accidents happen. You're on the firing line. In a live situation, you've got the director who's in charge is upset because something didn't happen because somebody didn't make a phone call. And there are consequences to everything you do. If we go back and talk to Matt, I mean, Rona said, is that too little too late? I mean, what about the students?
Yeah.
What is the best experience for the students?
exactly.
So there's no right or wrong. It's
So,
it's
Jeffrey,
about this
why-
robust. Yes.
Why is this an ethical consideration? I was thrown away by, I don't know, confused. But why is this an ethical consideration? Whereas I would just, maybe that's where I fail as a consultant, and I don't do so well, is that I don't consider this an ethical consideration. I think of this as more of an operational decision, a business decision. And I'm just not getting the ethical piece. So if I could get help on that.
So Johnson & Johnson. Okay? Right now, Johnson & Johnson, they what were they in major lawsuits for from 2016 on?
Baby powder?
Baby powder caused cervical cancer. They are still fighting those lawsuits. And now we're going to trust them with a vaccine? Really? And anybody is surprised that their vaccine isn't working? The ethical consideration is when you don't address issues and you don't take responsibility and you don't try and resolve situations, the culture of the organization becomes corrupt. And Rona just told me she owns stock in Johnson & Johnson.
I do own stock in Johnson & Johnson.
And I'm
not
going.
selling it
I'm
either.
going. Johnson & Johnson.
I do own stock in Johnson & Johnson.
And I'm going.
Not selling it
I'm
either.
going. You know, this is how this problem happens. The culture has become corrupt.
I am a little corrupt. I have to admit it.
Jill, what do you think of Jill? What is Jill interested in? Is she interested in her students' experience, or is she interested in being in charge?
Who's Jill?
Oh my gosh, I thought it was
Or
Gil.
Gil.
I thought she
Gil.
was-
Sorry,
No, it's
Gil.
Gil. It's
Okay,
Gil.
You're killing me.
so
Sorry. Well, it's Matt and Daniel. Okay.
Yeah.
okay, so as a person of the female persuasion in the midst of the patriarchy, I'm picturing Gil as he's director of talent development, and somehow his background does not include training, design, and delivery. So as a trainer who's now being called out because, I'm Daniel, right? And I'm taking a break. I need to go to the restroom. And Gil's like bringing me aside and saying, what are you doing with this class that was so successful and you flipped it, and why are you doing this? I'm picturing someone who's got some heat and some bluster. So for me, when we were talking about this, I was like, the first thing I'm going to do is go through those steps on that one slide that I captured. Let's figure out the best way to kind of calm him down and bring him into his thinking brain out of this anger kind of, he's not thinking clearly probably, and he's really frustrated, and I can see that. So I'm going to empathize with that. I may apologize. I'm definitely going to tell him, I can see that you're really upset, and I understand that this would be upsetting because you didn't expect it, and I'm sorry that you didn't expect it. I'm going to go to the restroom because I need to take a break. When I come back, what I want to do is talk about where we are right now, because we've got a class full of people that are coming back after this break who've been partly exposed to the form now, and I understand that you don't want the form shown till the end. So while I'm in the restroom, please think about this and let's get back together. We'll have about 2 or 3 minutes before the class starts, because I'm feeling such urgency as Daniel, and I am not going to go back and teach that class if I need to use the restroom. So I'm doing a both and here. It's not I can do this or that. I'm going to do both, but I'm going to give Gil like something to cognitively attack rather than emotionally attack, and involve him in my problem solving so that I know what to do. He's my, he's the person writing my paycheck.
Yep.
So I'm going to ultimately do what he's asking in the moment. I also had a
And
question.
Wendy, I got to cut you off because we're just out of time. And
Oh,
by
sorry.
the way, big assumption, Gil was actually a woman.
Oh, okay.
No,
Well, either
it's
way-
okay. I
Either
picked
way.
gender neutral names on this, and so that could come up as well. Look, good discussion, guys. I've offered and recommended that we start a BizSIG discussion club. I'm not going to start it. I want somebody in this to pick it up, so that we can go into more depth on these things, and I highly recommend it. Any questions for tonight or for what's going on? No questions. Here is the calendar. We've got more things going on the calendar for ATD-OC. Any programs, subjects, concepts, and ideas that you have, bring them. We can add new programs to the BizSIG. We can add them to discussion, and I'd even be willing to change them. We have a couple of months open. So if you've got an interest, please come through it. Come through with your ideas. Thank you all. Great discussion.
That was fun. Definitely fun.
Rona, this is Rona's contact information if you want.
Thank you.
Thanks for playing, kid.
You guys did great. Thank you for attending. Well done. And recommendations on the program. Thanks for the suggestions on the case study. Really appreciate that. If you've got more, email me or Rona.